Welcome to the Behind the Punch podcast. My name is Bryson Olson. I'm here with
Jake Sheehy.
Perfect. And we got the owners and promoters from All Heart Promotions. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
I'm Monica DeCarlo.
I'm Jason DeCarlo.
Oh, I love it.
Well, we're going to talk to them a little bit today about their events, their gym, and just all the nitty-gritty details inside some boxing knowledge. So,
yes, sir.
let's
Yes,
get
sir.
started.
Very exciting. I want to kind of open up about a little bit about your background and who you guys are, why you even got into this, right? I mean, you're the opening episode here, so let's kind of get into why boxing. Is there kind of like a story? I feel like I heard that maybe your son did boxing. Is that how you got introduced into it, or where did it start?
So at 9 years old, my son played football, and after the football season was over, he kind of was bored, wanted something to do. One of the kids on his football team went and did boxing, so I love boxing. My dad stole cable so we could watch the Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvelous Marvin Hagler fight when I was a little kid, and I've loved boxing my whole life. I had a stepdad that boxed. I had a grandpa that boxed, and so
Grandpa Garcia.
yeah. So it was just something I really liked anyways. And so
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this would be kind of cool. We went over and did it, and he enjoyed it and actually never left and kind of just stayed there. And
When did he start?
when he was 9 years old.
Yeah, he was 9. We were actually in Brigham, and the gym was called the Body Shop.
Body
And
shop.
that's where he started.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
at the time, the coaches there were like Leonard and Richard. Richard was like 80 years old. He was Santana's first boxing coach. Kind of took Santana under his wing because Santana was not a natural. He had to work hard at it. So, and then from there, we worked, and he went to school here in Ogden. And I worked in Clinton. He worked in Ogden. So we moved down this way, and then we went to Foley's gym.
Yeah.
And that's where All Heart actually was born.
Oh,
was
wow.
at Foley's.
Oh, wow.
So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were watching fights for years. So you kind of have like an idea of what makes like a really cool production or what doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Were there certain things that would like stick out to you when you were watching, the Sugar Ray Leonard fight or something like that, where you're like, oh, is it so exciting because the fighters are really great, or is it really exciting because the energy in the room, or like what takes you?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely the energy. Like, we lived in Vegas when we first got married, and the energy fight weekend in Vegas is phenomenal. It changes. It's a whole different energy. But that fight, just the whole fanfare, the whole everything, the behind the scenes that you see, that was such a cool experience.
Yeah.
That was the first fight I remember seeing. I'm sure there was other ones, but I mean that's the first one I remember, and I just always loved it. And so when he started doing it, was a cool. It's really, really cool. His football team went undefeated. They went to Little Mini Bowl, and the parents are fighting on the sidelines. And I was like, this is kind of crazy. And then he gets into boxing, and these kids are literally in there punching each other, and then afterwards they're friends. They go out, they play basketball together, they're hanging out, they're having conversation. Oh, you got me at the really good punch or whatever.
Yeah, the sportsmanship.
It's fantastic. It's so good. In fact, one of the kids that he used to fight when he was a little kid now comes to the gym. We've actually had a couple of them that have come to the gym afterwards. So it's just a really cool atmosphere.
Yeah.
And sportsmanship that happens, you know what I mean?
I completely understand.
Yeah, and when these kids work hard, they're trained like constantly. It's, football season ends, baseball season ends, boxing doesn't. At least not on the amateur. There's tournaments, but there's fights year round on the amateur level. That's where we started, was the amateur boxing. The pros, obviously, it's different. There's a training camp. There's gaps in between, but not amateur.
Yeah.
So when he was fighting, he was training year round. That's why he didn't go back to football. He loved boxing so much, he stuck with boxing. So.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like once you kind of start, it seems like I don't know why you would do anything else, to be quite honest. I mean, unless you really just don't like getting punched in the face. I mean, because if you're telling me the sportsmanship is great and everyone that boxes is in like great shape and it's year round, you're staying active, it seems like you would just kind of stay into it.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about the energy that you mentioned. For a show, you put on, will be when this comes out, people are listening, you have a fight coming up June 13th. That'll be the fifth one. Fifth one. Over the course, how have you noticed how to get the energy built more? I mean, did you start introducing certain songs? Do you kind of change the lighting? How do you build that energy?
Honestly, a lot of it's the fights and the matches. When you have, at least for me, I'm kind of a purist. I don't really like the whole a concert going on while a fight's going on. But I'm a boxing fan. I know that I'm not the average everyday person, because I just love the sport a lot. But when you have a really, really good back and forth matchup, it's just the energy in the room, the whole atmosphere. It's just the last show you guys were at, that was probably our best show.
Yeah, the crowd.
The crowd was
pretty electric.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the crowd kind of made it, even more. Because I mean, it was pretty crowded in there, but yeah, that main event and the co-main event, the crowd just went wild. So it was kind of cool. So I think definitely when you're talking about energy, you're talking about the crowd and the matches, making sure that they are good competitive fights, and that's what that last card was.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. What about like the is it the announcer? Is that what he's called, or the what's the guy called that's in the middle?
Yeah,
and the ring, the announcer.
Yeah.
That is his job just to keep getting that crowd fired up. Is that what he's doing?
And actually, that was the first time we've used that announcer. We always use Destiny McCubbin.
Yeah.
She's been our announcer from the beginning. We've known her since she was young. She was a fighter, and she does power slap, and she was supposed to have a match that weekend, so she couldn't make it. But absolutely, they need to keep the crowd going, keep the crowd hyped up, and
yeah, and we actually met Luna at a show in Idaho. There were some pro fights there. One of our fighters, Lawrence's fighter, was fighting in Idaho. And I saw him, and I'm like, because you can network. So I was like, you never know. So we might need him. And yeah, we reached out because Destiny couldn't do it. So, and he was more than willing. So I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah. If I'm sorry if you have questions or
no,
something. If
go
I just
for
keep
it.
going, but if a fight really hangs on a lot of the energy that a fighter brings, what their record is, or how many people they got in the building, if that kind of hangs in the balance, and I want to kind of dive into what makes a really good fighter to not only like get the crowd going, but just like maybe strength, the sportsmanship of it. What makes a really good fighter, and what makes a one that maybe you don't want to have on the card? I kind of want to discuss that. Can we kind of go into what makes a really good fighter in your head right off the top?
Yeah, absolutely. So record doesn't have a lot to do with it, because I can tell you that there's fighters that put on great shows and maybe don't have the best record, but they fight tough people, and they, Jesus. Martin, is that his name? Jesus Martin. We met him.
Marin.
Yeah, we met him down in Arizona. He fought a fighter that we're kind of tied in with down in Arizona. Great fight. Fantastic fight. Probably the best fight that night. Kind of stayed in touch with him. On our very first show, we brought him in. At that point, I think he was 0-3. Yeah. And we brought him in, and he got his first win on our card. He actually stopped the guy, I believe, right? Yeah, he did. He stopped the guy. Beautiful fight. Has an 0-3 record, but he had fought tough guys, and every fight is a fight till the end. It's not a on our last show, one of the better fights. I don't get to see the fights at the fight. I usually get to see them after. So, but one of the better fights in the crowd loved was Emmanuel and Zayden.
Oh yes.
I had people grabbing me out of the crowd saying, "Hey, bring that Zayden kid back." He's
from Montana.
He's from Montana. He put on a really good show, and he just didn't give up. It's the no quit. That keep going.
Yeah,
absolutely. So
that's fantastic. Okay, so if you're gonna look for a fighter to have on the card, you don't really need to see any prior experience, or would you like to see maybe some amateur stuff beforehand?
It kind of depends. So it depends. So what I generally do when I'm doing the matchmaking and is I'll sit down. Me and Lawrence will usually sit down, and we'll kind of go over and say, these are our A side,
right?
Okay, and then we'll start talking about who we're thinking about for the B side.
Okay,
who we're thinking about. We're going to bring in. It might be a local fighter. It might be somebody we travel in to fight, but. I really, really, really want good competitive fights. I don't want to put on, bring some taxi cab driver, tomato can to fight. You know what I mean? And build a record. And
that makes it up for a good show.
And I don't want to say that because a journeyman fighter is a very important part of boxing. Journeyman fighters could have a losing record, but they're tough guys that can, kind of test these guys. And so when you're building a fighter, their first fight, you're going to give them an easier fight to see how they handle, because now they don't have the headgear on. They have little tiny gloves, and everything kind of changes. And so first you give them an easier fight, and then you slowly are bringing that fight up by what they're showing you. So, Sammy, for example, on this fight, we gave him an easier fight for his first fight. He showed that he could handle the pressure. Yeah. He was very patient, took his time with it. He didn't just go out there.
He's a smart fighter.
Smart, very smart. Yeah, very good. Very good boxing IQ.
Yeah, we know. We had to get in the ring with this guy.
Yeah,
he took us on a trip. Let me just tell
Absolutely.
you, he was smart. Okay, so you kind of build it with him, and plus that helps. I would think with the show.
Absolutely.
Each time it gets better and better and bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. So this fight for him. He's going to fight that Jesus I was telling you. This is going to be a big step from his last fight. This guy can go in there and bang with him. This guy's been in wars before. This guy knows how to fight. So he might not have the best record, but he can go in there and he can exchange with him, and he can put on a good show. Mm-hmm. And then if he handles it good, then I'll do another step up, depending on how he handles it.
Right.
I'll do a step. If he goes in there and it's just makes it look easy, then I'm going to take a big step for him on the next one. I'm going to move him even faster. Wow. But that's kind of how I look at it when I'm matching it up. Is me and Lawrence will always sit down and kind of just hey, kind of spitball back and ideas back and forth. What do you think about this one? What do you think this fight looks like? And sometimes you could bite off more than you could chew. You know, sometimes you put that A side in a spot that
or you'll have like a really, if like he was saying earlier, you have a purist fan that would love to see a good technical fight. For some of the crowd, that might be a super boring fight. But people that are like, have the amateur background or are like purist boxing fans, that would be like a good technical fight to watch. And you want to see those fighters again. But maybe some of the crowd wants to see like, the blood.
I want to see the blood and the gore.
No,
the
I want to see him bash his head in.
For real,
the stoppage, kind of like the MMA thing.
Yeah.
Dude, the last fight, whenever Dylan started bleeding,
the
crowd went barbaric. They're like, give me more blood. I was like, oh my god.
And that video looks great too. It was a good fight.
You actually got a really great picture of it.
He was wiping the blood and stuff. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic.
It made it great for the edits. And it actually was a good fight, because Ricky actually came out and he came from MMA, and I think this was his first boxing. So we didn't know how he was gonna do, but it turned out to be a good fight.
It was. Let me ask this question. I'm curious about this. We were talking about how you maybe give someone an easier fight and you kind of build it. Does the matchmaker have the authority or the ability to, in a way, throw a fight or make a fight? Like, could they say, we really love this guy, so we're going to give him easier and easier fights, or we want this guy to lose, so we're going to put him up against a heavy hitter? Is that possible?
In a way, but not really, because ultimately the coach and the fighter have the ultimate say. They can say no. So what I do is I come up with the idea. Me and Lawrence, or all of us will sit around and say, hey, this is who we're thinking about.
Right.
Okay. And then we have to go to both fighters and be like, we have to sell it to them.
Right.
And so then there's coaches that are extremely cautious. Like, they're just like, nah, I don't think so. It's like, I'm bringing you an 0-5 guy, and your guy is 4-0.
Right.
But they ultimately have to say. But obviously, if I know somebody's really tough, but they have a bad record, and I take it to a guy who's got a really good record, but he's not very tough, because it's easy to build an undefeated fighter. That's not hard to do.
And as a promoter, you don't want that crappy fight, or you don't want to set a guy up, because on the promotion side, you also have to think of insurance, claims and all that. So you do not want to set anybody up.
Right.
You just want to have a good show.
Ultimately, one of the very first things we tell, they have a fighters meeting before the fight.
Yes.
Right.
And that the commission goes over the insurance and goes over everything with all the fighters and the coaches and rules and stuff like that. And one of the things we always tell them is, hey, the most important thing is you guys go home safe.
Right.
This is a sport where you can die in the ring. Like, it happens. It has happened. It's happened in Utah a couple times. It happens all the time. That But so you do want it to be safe. You don't want to throw somebody to the wolves that they're gonna, it's I just rather not use
No,
them.
that makes it makes complete sense. I was just curious on if that was even a possibility. I'm curious on like when you're selling to like coaches or the fighter. Are fighters ever like, nah? Are these like, I'm not going to do that one.
Yeah.
Bring me something else.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just have to go do that?
Absolutely.
Wow. Does that happen a lot, the way you're both like, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So you have to have multiple like ready to go. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So basically what we do is, I go down and I set up my A side and say, okay, these are my A side. These are who I want to match up.
Yeah.
And then we start to look for opponents for them. And then you have some coaches and fighters that are super easy to deal with. And you have some that are just.
That's it.
And you start to weed them out. And it's like, if I tell everybody, hey, if you sell a lot of tickets, you can be as big a pain in the butt as you want. I'll deal with you. If you don't sell a lot of tickets, you better be easy to work with because it's just not worth it.
Right.
And he'll start matching. So our card in June, he'll start matching for the next show as soon as that show is over. Because because of what you just said, fighters or hey, I have this fight in mind and maybe they don't want it. So it's going to be a little bit harder to find, that specific fighter a fight.
Right.
And we're always thinking ahead, like for Bobby and Sammy, I have an idea like 3 fights out who I'm going to have them fight. Like we're thinking that far ahead, like moving them because, Bobby's was our main event for our first 3 fights. I always do the main event by who sells the most tickets, that's who becomes my main event. And, Bobby was there for the first 3 and then Sammy came along and kind of, took over that. And, but, I'll think ahead like, hey, I got Bobby fighting this guy. And then after this one, hey, what do you think about this one? And then after that one, what do you think about that one? And of course, all that could change if he loses one of those, or if it's a really, really tough fight and it's like, hey, maybe I need to pull back a little bit because I was planning a bigger step or something like that. Yeah. So
that's really interesting. I want to now go into like if there's a fighter listening to this, how do you get picked, and then also how do you get dropped? Like if I'm a fighter, right, and I want to be emerging and I want to be in the Rival Series 6 next time, what do they need to be doing to be seen? Are you just scrolling through website, the Boxer Rec or whatever, and trying to find people? What's the best way to get in front of you?
I get calls. I probably get 10 calls a week.
Really?
Of fighters that are like, hey, we're looking to fight.
Wow.
And then I'll just talk to them like, hey, what's your amateur background look like? What? And sometimes they don't have a very good amateur background.
Sometimes we don't know them at all.
Yeah, sometimes like if they're from Utah, we probably know them. Right. Like, we probably know them. And if they're from out of state, we might not know them. Sometimes we do, but kind of talk to them, ask them questions, stuff like that. Hey, what does this look like? What does that look like? How long you been training? Stuff like that. And then, sometimes they'll send me a video like, oh, here's an amateur fight. That's actually how Zayden came about. Wow. Is he reached out to me and sent me a couple videos of his fights, and I watched him. I was like, oh, do pretty good. This would be a good guy. So I was like, hey, let's do it. And super easy to work with. I'll bring him back for every show that he wants to come back for because he's easy to work with. But what will get you cut is being a pain. There's behind the scenes, there is thousands of hours that goes into one show.
Ooh, I love it.
And and that's before we even get to weigh-ins. If I have one fighter that I'm constantly, talking off the ledge or,
I wasn't thinking like that. I was thinking like they're not answering the phone or something like
even that. It could be
but
that.
What do you mean talking off the ledge? Like they're just like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Yeah, like you asked before, I'm sending them fights and they're like, nah, I don't really like that. And I'm fine with you telling me no.
Right.
If you're the one getting punched in the face, so no, it's okay. What bothers me is when you're like, let me think about it.
Yeah.
And like 3 weeks later,
you can't wait that long.
Yeah, I've already moved on. I've already, if I'm offering you a fight and you can't give me an answer in a couple days, then I've probably already moved on.
You got to get things moving.
Yeah, it's fast paced because matches are being made, and then we are only limited in so many rounds, in so many fights. So if this guy,
kinda.
Yeah, because we don't want a big card, but you also don't want to have, a small card.
You want the card. I think our last card was slightly too long. Just slightly too long.
Just a little bit.
Meaning how? Like too many fights or
too many fights? Not too many fights. I think there was too many rounds. So everything's measured in rounds. So I think it was just a little bit too long. people's attention span is getting shorter and shorter.
Right.
And so you got to kind of keep it. And, one thing that, the commissioner told me when we started is you want them to leave wanting more, not leave like, hey, it was kind of a long fight. And so we've always tried to keep that in mind. Yep. And I think the last one we were just slightly too long. I think we went 3.5 hours, right?
But it still was a good.
It was a good card, but
Yeah.
every fight except for the last two went the distance.
Yeah, because depending on what kind of fan you are, I had some people's like, these are great matches, but they're all going the distance. It's almost like they wanted to see that stoppage, and luckily they saw it on the last two. The co-main event and the main event. But like I was saying, if it's a good technical fight, for some people that might be boring.
Right.
But for somebody that loves boxing, it's like, oh no, that's a great fight.
Man,
but if they're going the distance, some people are like,
Well, I literally wrote down
a little too long.
Knockout artist attention span. When I think about like old Mike Tyson fights, man, that everyone was like, how long is it going to take until he knocks this guy out, right? And that was kind of like the exciting thing of how long. But is it better to have somebody who you're like, you want him to knock him out in the second round, or do you try and balance a little bit with the crowd and give him a longer fight, but maybe he stops him later in?
I do it the way I would want to see it, and that's probably not the right way to do it.
It's still not good though.
But I do it like I want to see a good competitive fight that when the fight's going, the people think either one of these guys can win. That's what I want to see.
That makes sense.
I don't want to see
like
a
the
fight.
fights last night.
Yeah, the fights last night were the Benavidez fight last night.
Turned.
All those fights were like, hey,
it's up in the air.
Yeah,
it's a nail biter. It's a bomber.
Yeah,
Okay,
even if you start out the fight thinking, hey, this guy's going to win, halfway through the fight, you're like, oh, maybe the other guy's going to win. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like the Dylan and Ricky fight we were talking about.
The Dylan and Ricky fight, absolutely.
Like it's not just a clear winner. It's
Absolutely.
like, you could root for either person.
Yeah.
It's like in a movie when like you can kind of root for the villain. You're like,
even like the Rocky movies, he goes in and there's like, oh, he's going to get beat, but then halfway through the fight, the crowd switches and they're cheering for him. But I like those kind of fights. I like it where the B side has a chance to win, and you're going to see that. So that's kind of how I match it up. But I think the crowd likes the stoppages and the carnage.
The carnage is crazy. Dylan. No, I saw how the crowd changed with blood started coming out. So,
absolutely.
Okay. That's really interesting. Let's go into the behind the scenes. You mentioned thousands of hours go into it. And people clearly do not understand how long this takes, what all goes into it. Can we kind of break down? Let's start with maybe we kind of talked about finding the fights, finding the fighters, the A side, the B side, all that stuff. Let's go into the event itself. How long does it take to find the location, make all the deals, get the ring in, the lights, the people? Talk to me about that. What's that like?
There's so much that goes into it.
Where do you start?
So like our first show, it took us 2 years to throw our first show. Just because we hadn't done it. We've done it with other promoters, like
some that were around before us.
Yeah, some were around before us. We worked with them. There's been some great promoters out of Utah that just fizzled out for whatever reason. I don't even know why. That Imperial cost and the pain in the butt, the work you put into it, because there isn't money. There's not money in the first year. We were upside down quite a bit, like a lot. And so it's kind of hard to get going, and I understand that. When we went into it, we sat down with our team, Lawrence and Haley and Quincy and Monica and I and my son Santana and his wife Susli. We all sat down and kind of talked about it, and I kind of went to them and say, hey, this is what I want to do. What do you guys think? And we kind of went back and forth with ideas, and I told them.
Because I was thinking the cost.
Yeah,
because it is a lot.
So we talked about it, and I told him, I was like, hey, we got to be able to go 2 years without making any money. That we're coming out of pocket to put this on. We have to go into this knowing that, and so that's kind of went into it thinking that, and we went a year before we made any money. We didn't make a lot of money, but we made to make $1. You know,
and we sat with the commission way
Lots
before.
of-
So
lots
a
of-
lot of meetings with them, and they kind of did help us along the way. Like you were saying, where to spend the money, where not to spend the money to still make it a successful show. Because what's going to go into it, not just the fights, but the cost, the venue, because venues you have to schedule them way ahead of time. So right now we're at Golden Spike, and we have dates.
All the way through for a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm out till next June.
Because you want to make sure that venue's available. You want to make sure the dates are going to match with what the commission's got available, to
Right.
throw the show.
Right.
So, we had to make like a big old budget of what is it going to cost.
Wow.
And you have to present that when you get your license, too, because they want to make sure that you are going to, if everything goes south, that you are going to be able to pay those bills,
Wow.
pay the fighters, the people that you owe money to, because you have to get your bond to make
Wow.
sure that everybody gets paid. So a lot of people don't realize how much of behind the scenes and cost goes into throwing a show. So a lot of promoters that have done it, probably either found out the hard way or it's like
Said it wasn't worth it.
I said it wasn't worth it to keep going, because it does take you have to have the momentum to keep it going.
Right.
So, and if you have fighters that don't want to.
Is it better if you have a lot of promoters, and that way the cost of things will start to go down, and you can find a lot more fighters, and it would be more of like a lot of fish in a smaller pond, since it's just Utah? Or would you rather have just you guys? Does that I'm trying to understand the cost side of things. Is it better to have a lot?
I think cost-wise is not going to make a difference, but you do want to keep those fighters busy.
Right.
Because if it's just us, if we can only have 2 or 3 or maybe 4 shows at max a year, you don't want those guys sitting,
Right.
dormant, being bored, not training. So that way, if we do have more promoters, then
Right.
when I'm not having a show, they're having a show, and keep those guys busy, because they want to make a living too.
That makes sense.
And that's what we tell them is like, on the promotion side, it's our it's our responsibility to make sure that we put butts in seats, that make sure that the show happens, to make sure people are coming through the door. However, because we are a smaller promotion, yes, right now, we do depend on some of the ticket sales.
Right.
So when that fighter's asking for more money, it's like your fight for your opponent and you is going to cost X amount of dollars. I need to sell X amount of tickets to be able to make this fight work. It's a business. It's a business for them and a business for us.
Yeah.
So.
That makes complete sense. So, I mean, have you seen if there's like an emergence of other promoters coming out? Is this kind of like more people wanting to get into this? Or what do you
I
think?
hope so.
I hope so. I think it'd be good for. I love the sport.
Yeah.
I love the sport. I would help anybody who wants to do it. We've been involved when other promoters have done it in the past and try to help out. And I think it would be great if there was a couple more promoters and we could all kind of work together and space our shows to keep each other busy. I would love that. We try to work with the guy up out of Slim Promotions.
Yeah.
Out of
Idaho.
Yeah.
We try to work with him a little bit. Even some of the MMA promotions, we'll call each other and ask.
Yeah, we.
Zach with Fierce.
He's a good dude.
Really good dude.
I know exactly what I want to ask you next. I feel like I've heard this before, where the people are going to start to mix boxing and bare knuckle, boxing and kickboxing, boxing or something else. What do you think about that new style? Would you do it? What do you think about that?
Powers kind of did that. He did MMA and boxing together. I love boxing, so boxing's my passion.
Do you keep it just true to
boxing? I do.
Yeah.
We've talked about even throwing some kickboxing in there, or
Muay Thai
or
People
something.
would come
But
see that.
I'm not opposed to it, but it's not my passion. So I don't know that I haven't got to there. But Powers did it.
Yeah.
Powers when he was doing it. Sean Powers, he did both MMA and kickboxing and boxing all together.
It's definitely a different style. It seems.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're getting
a different crowd.
Two different. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're mixing different crowds here, which is interesting. I don't know how you would handle like ticket sales and stuff like that, or what that.
Well, and
I mean,
we worked with a promoter. The very first pro show we were involved in was with a promoter that did MMA, and he approached us about doing a boxing match, and we pretty much put the whole thing together. It was a great show. we're going to do the second show, and one of the things he had brought up was doing a 21 and over, and I was like, it's a different crowd, it's not the same. Right. It works in MMA, it doesn't work in boxing. The demographic of people are different. It's a family.
Yeah, it's a family event.
That is true.
They bring their kids to the show.
Yeah.
They don't get babysitters and stuff like that. So that's one of the things we brought up with him, and he's like, oh no, we do it all the time, and it's like, no, it's not the same. It's not. It's a different crowd. It is, and we've been to bare knuckle. It's a different crowd.
Because some of these guys that are pros have younger brothers that are amateurs. So they want to bring those siblings to see brother be a pro.
That makes sense. I mean, at your last event, I definitely saw way more younger people than I thought I was going to see. Yeah. For sure. So that makes complete sense. I wanted to hit on the age. You mentioned your son started at 9. When we talked to Sammy, he said he started at 14. And he was like, that's really late. And then so therefore I have zero idea what's the proper age.
So 8 years old is when USA Boxing allows them to start.
You could start boxing in 2nd grade pretty much.
Yeah. 8 years
wow.
old. So that's when they start, and people freak out about that. It is super safe. So there's a doctor at every show. The doctor checks them before the fight, checks them after the fight. The gloves that they wear are regulated. The headgears are regulated. I have seen the whole time we've been involved in boxing under 5 knockouts, and they were all big guys.
Right.
Very, very, very few injuries. Most of the injuries come from training, not from
the fight itself.
Yeah. So it's extremely safe as far as that goes. They're really, really particular about it. You have to, keep up on that stuff. There's a bigger chance that you're going to get hurt in football than you're going to get hurt in boxing. So
that's interesting.
And in the amateur level, it's all about protecting the fighter. So I've talked to coaches about this. They get upset when a referee gives a standing 8 count. So that's where a fighter takes a big punch and the referee will do a standing 8 count. That is just time for him to evaluate the fighter to make sure the fighter's okay. It's not taking a point from him. It's not. It's just him evaluating, making sure, hey, that fighter's okay.
Can he keep going?
He's tracking. He's not hurt. He's not.
Right.
And some coaches are upset about that. Like, that makes my fighter look bad because you gave him a standing 8 count. No, that's just, it's about safety.
If you're a good ref, you're not going to count it against the fighter because you shouldn't.
Right.
On the amateur side. And sometimes even at the amateur level, it's a different style. Once you get into the pros, so you could be a great amateur fighter and not
translate.
It doesn't translate.
Oh, that's
on the
interesting.
Pro side.
Yeah.
So, or kind of be like maybe not a super good amateur because we've seen it with a couple, but on the pro side they're phenomenal.
Yeah,
they've done
really?
great.
Yeah, so. It doesn't always translate. So the amateur side, it's scoring points. So it's about fast punches, pitter pattering and punches and stuff like that. Where in the pros, it's about good, hard. You're trying to hurt the person. You're trying to stop them. You're trying to. That's what it's about. You know what I mean? So it definitely is a difference in styles. And some people come out of the amateurs and they were a fantastic amateur, and it doesn't translate when they turn pro. And then some people, like she said, there's a couple I won't mention names, but there's a couple of fighters that when we were turning them pro, we're like, I don't know, we got to be really cautious with this guy. And it ended up that it wasn't a problem at all. Like they took it perfectly. So
I know. Okay, this is where I want to go. You mentioned something about you would probably get hurt in football before you did boxing. I feel like I've come across this where people don't want to be involved with the sport of boxing. They don't want to partner or sponsor, or they don't want to do something because they say, we don't do that. It's combative, or
it's too violent.
Yeah. Why do you think that? Why is the misconception there? What's the hindrance?
And I think maybe because, like you said, probably what they see on TV, they see the end result as far as a fight, or they got stopped, whatever, but they don't see the back, the training that goes into it. Because if you're looking at boxing like any other sport, whether it's like martial arts, any kind of combat sport, is these kids train and they train constantly.
Yeah.
And obviously, and the amateurs, like he said, they're wearing the gear, they're there's people involved to make sure that they are being safe.
Right.
I think it's our culture in Utah too. It's a little different.
Yeah.
So when my son was coming up through the amateurs, and we're going to tournaments, and you go to, we're in the Four Corner region. You go to a Four Corner tournament in Arizona or in New Mexico or Colorado. They'll have shows in high schools.
Wow.
Where in Utah, if you go to a high school and say, "Hey, I want to have a boxing match," they're like, "We've tried it." Like they're like, "No."
I was gonna
Kids are
say
gonna
because
get
like the
hurt.
only combat sport I've seen in high schools here is like wrestling. Like that's a very
yeah.
common one.
Absolutely,
I feel
absolutely.
like, but
And
I
you
haven't
can get
ever
hurt,
heard of
you can-
boxing.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
back in the day, they said the universities used to have boxing programs.
They still do. All the Ivy Leagues still do boxing
Yeah.
programs.
Really?
Harvard, Stanford, Yale, they all have boxing programs. The Air Force Academy, the Army, they all do it. And if you watch the collegiate boxing championship, like their level of boxers are way low compared to what you see at a regular amateur fight, because most of those guys don't start till they get there, and so they don't have the experience. You know, our son has 130 amateur fights. He's fought all over, and you know, because he started at 9 years old, and so you know, there's a lot of time that went into that, and a lot of
Well, that's what I was
bouts,
saying though. Like any sport, you know, there's this discipline, there's structure,
Right.
and that's what, you know, some of the people don't see. You know, that no, it's a sport. It's not them fighting out on the street. You know,
Right.
like a bare
Street-
knuckle. You know,
street fighting
street
or
fighting. It's
something
not
like
street
that.
fighting. We'll
Absolutely.
have kids come through the
Yeah.
gyms like, have you ever fought on the streets? You know, it's like, okay, that's not fighting.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's rules. You know, there's
Yeah.
so that's where we would have to
And
educate
there's a ref.
people.
There's a ref there that's going to give you the
There's
A count and
judges.
stuff like that. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of things that go
USA
into this.
boxing on the amateur level is involved with pro. The commission is involved, you
Right.
know, the state, and there's laws. So yeah,
Okay. I want to pivot just a little bit, if that's okay. I want to talk about women in boxing for just a second. There's talks about maybe possibly having a woman fight at some point. I want to know the difference in finding the A card, B card, what you're looking for. Is it kind of I don't even know the right term. It's not as prevalent maybe, but is it actually people just don't know about it? I want to get into the women in boxing sport because there is a side to it.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like we rarely ever hear about it.
I love it. From our gym, we've had lots of girl fighters. No pros, but we've had lots of girl fighters.
because girls don't quit.
yeah,
Like,
it's-
they're
it's-
fun to watch.
Man, I'll tell you,
No,
was it? I think it was maybe the Jake Paul fight or something like that when it was on
Yeah.
Netflix.
He does lots of girls.
And
Yeah.
the two, I feel like I remember watching a girl fight, and she had like a gash
Yep.
way on her eye. I'm like, dude, she's just keeps going.
Yep.
I completely with you. So why are we not seeing more of that? What's happening?
There's just not as many. So there is 2, possibly 3 pro girls out of Utah. None of them are in the same weight category, so they can't fight each other. Mary Gwen is probably the biggest one. Well, she is not
Yeah.
probably. She is the biggest
Yeah.
one. In her weight category, there's 6 girls.
Wow.
In the whole United States, there's 6 girls that are in that weight category.
Which on the male side, you know, you probably have hundreds.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
So
even
it's a little bit more
on the male
challenging.
side, the lower the weight you get. So 126
that's
is where it's normal. Everything under 126 on the male side, it drastically drops off. So from 126 to 122, it cuts in half how many people there are in the United States.
Okay.
It goes from, I think in 126, I think there's like 170 fighters. When you go to 122, it drops below 100.
Wow.
And so, you know, but that's in males. But
Yeah.
in females, there's 6
Six.
at
So
Mary
six.
Gwen's, and 2 of them are champions, so they're not coming here to fight.
Right,
And
right.
then you know, it's I
Unless you're
don't
willing to pay a lot more.
I don't want to use the word easier because it isn't easier, but it's easy. It's easier to fight on a higher level as a girl because there's just not that many of them.
Right.
So those 2 champions got to have people to fight, and so they got 6 to choose from unless they bring them from out of the country. And even out of the country, it's still not a lot. But you know, so it's really, really tough. We've tried to put Mary Gwen on every single show, and it's just so hard to find anybody to fight. Tried to match it.
We thought we had one, but then she said no. So.
Yeah, we thought we had one line. We thought we had it lined up a couple times, and then they're like, you know, because they get a call and they got a better,
I better pay.
Yeah.
better
That
paying.
makes
you know,
sense.
we're a little card. We don't
Yeah.
have,
Smaller.
you know, $10,000 to pay you. You know, where that other card, you're gonna go fight at Madison Square Garden for.
And you can't blame them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like they gotta get paid.
It's a business decision.
No,
So.
that makes sense. Would you? Is there? Is it easier to find someone that are like amateur and do like a pro-am fight? Would you ever do something like that, or is it still that same kind of?
I'd love to. The expense, you have two commissions you deal with: USA Boxing and then the Utah Athletic Commission. So then we gotta pay the Utah LBC to put amateurs on, and
sometimes that costs us more than the pros.
yeah, it does.
For real?
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's why we haven't done. I love it. My
We did
favorite.
one.
What we've done one.
Yeah.
My favorite is the evolution of boxing. I love to have an 8-year-old for my first fight, maybe like an early teen for my second fight, and then like a kid who's amateur but getting ready to turn pro for my third fight, and then start my pro card, because it's like the people love it.
Yeah, the crowd loves it.
The crowd loves
It's
seeing
awesome.
those little guys get in there.
Yeah,
the girls are bigger than that.
It's like Rock'em and Sock'em.
Yeah, and you know, there's some really technical little fighters too. So it's fun to see those. I remember when my son started, Diego Alvarez from here in Ogden. He's the same age as my son, and he was like a miniature pro when he was little. And he had just such a nice style and real fast hands, and it was really fun to watch him. So you know, I love that evolution.
Right.
But it's
Vladimir
just,
and his little brother Jair back in the day.
Yeah, so
They were awesome.
we when we did the very first card on that MMA promotions, that's what we did as a pro-am on that one.
And people loved it.
It came out really good.
We put the best little 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
I think we even did one that was just like a little.
Oh, we did a money fight. We did the last money fight in Utah.
What's a money fight?
So back in the day, you would start out a show. Even amateur shows would start out with, they would take 2 like 5-year-olds or 4-year-olds, and they put giant gloves on them, and they go in there and they go at it, and then the crowd throws money in the ring.
Oh, wow.
And then
For
they
the
gather
little
up all
dudes.
the money and they split it between the kids, and the kids they make a
cute.
little bit of money, go buy some boxing
and
shoes.
they're not
and
hurting
gloves.
each other.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's but anyways, it's unregulated, so
Right.
Yeah.
we got in trouble for it. So,
So you
but we
can't
threw
do
the
that.
very last one in Utah. So
Oh,
But the kids
fun.
loved it.
the kids love it, the crowd loves it. It's a
Yeah.
good way to start. It gets the
That's fun.
Yeah.
And it helps kind of break the ice if they were
Yeah.
thinking about it. Be like, go
Yes.
see if you want to go in there.
absolutely.
No, and I've had people, that had never been to a boxing match, and they came to, I think it was our second one, either our second or third one, and they had no idea this existed in Utah. And I'm like, no, it is, and you'd be surprised how many boxing gyms are in Utah. A lot more than it used to when we started, but I'm like, no, these kids needs somewhere to go now,
Right.
because they're done with the amateurs that want to turn pro.
Yeah.
So they kind of just became fans of the sport, not really even knowing the sport.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's what we're trying to reach.
What do you think about like long term here? Or do you think there's going to be a more growth of boxing gyms, or do you think some will start to die off? Where do you see like Utah going long term with boxing?
Well, I'm hoping with the promotion and give them a second, after amateur, something to do, because that's really why we started this. Is Isaiah Rodriguez came to the gym, and like every kid that walks to the gym, I ask them what their goals are.
Right.
And some of them are just like, hey, I need some confidence, or I need to lose a little weight, or but Isaiah had told me, he's like, I really want to turn pro. So I'm like, okay. So we kind of talked about it, and I was like, he gave me his background and his experiences, and so I told him, I was like, give me a year, let's reevaluate after a year.
Okay.
So we went a year. He went to Golden Gloves, and his bad luck, he draws out arguably one of the toughest kids in the nation, not just the state, and he did good. It was a good competitive fight. He lost, but it was a good competitive fight. And I was like, hey, I think you're there. I think you can do it if you want to do it. So there was only one promotion at the time, and we reached out to him and said, hey, we want to turn this kid pro, and turned him pro, did his first fight, and then that promotion wasn't consistent.
Yeah.
So they would go a long time without fights. You didn't know when the next fight was going to be.
Or the shows get canceled.
The shows would get canceled or whatever. And so, we started traveling him. And so, we were going to Arizona, and we were going to California, and getting him fights. Well, when you go on the road, you're the B-side, so and you have to take those. Not to say you can't win, because he won on the road sometimes, and he lost on the road sometimes. So, but it's tougher fights.
Right.
You get paid more money, and what people don't understand is like the A side of the card gets paid less than the B side. So when, for example, like on our card, like the A side might make $800.
Right.
The B side could make $1,500, $2,000 for that same
Wow.
fight, because they know that they're coming in to fight a tougher fighter, and so
They might lose.
They might lose, and your record. Boxing's different than MMA. MMA, they don't worry about their record as much as they do in boxing. If you watch UFC, those guys, it's not unusual to see losses. When you watch on a really high level in boxing, losses aren't a normal thing.
Yeah.
So those guys want to protect their record, or they're a journeyman fighter or whatever. But so it's tougher to find them, so you got to pay them more to come in, and some of the A side guys don't understand that. Hey, I want more money. It's like, yeah, but I got to pay this guy $2,000 to come fight you, and you sold 10 tickets, so
It's like I lost my butt. It's like I lost my butt.
yeah, I'm honest with them. It's like, it costs money. This I tell all the fighters, it cost me about 71 tickets for each fight.
Wow.
That's what it cost me for each fight. That's when we kind of break it down. Now, some fights are cheaper, some fights are a little more expensive, but that's an average of what it cost me for a 4-round fight. So, if you're not selling anywhere near that, I can't really,
so we're hoping that Utah boxing grows. I'm going back to what you were saying, and a lot of people might not realize this, but the reason we started this, I mentioned we had started at Foley's, and it started just as a foundation, all heart foundation, because we would see a lot of these kids come through the gym. Some couldn't afford it, the tuition, or they had like 5 siblings wanted to box. Well, mom can't afford, that big bill to go to a boxing gym. So we started it, with another mom, because her son was coming, and, Foley allowed us to start it at his gym. And we started kind of doing fundraisers, for these kids to travel, or equipment. But it wasn't just for like our gym at the time. It was for everybody, all the kids, in Utah that might need equipment, or that might need, to get their tuition paid. So as we got going, and we did good with our fundraising, because these kids, some of them come from all walks of life, and some are at risk youth, and we try to keep them off the street. So that's why we started it. And when we, the amateur boxing gym. So when he approached me about opening up a boxing gym, I'm usually the one that gets scared. So I was like, I don't know, can we financially do it? And this mom was like, yeah, that we could do it. So I was like, okay. So we did a 5K. We got the money, and we got this building.
Wow.
So it was like November of 2014.
Yeah.
Yes. And the day we put in the deposit, the mom said, I don't want to do this no more. And I was like, oh crap, now what do we do?
No way.
So, but nothing bad on her, because honestly, if she would have not approached it, we would have not done this. We would have not known, look how far we've come.
Yeah.
So we were told, you're lucky if we make it 4 years, 7 years. That was back in 2014. So.
Wow.
12 years later.
Yeah.
Well, we came out of pocket like
a lot
of money. Like I remember it's happened a couple times. In fact, we were to the point where it's like we can't go no more. Like we're just. I think our first year we spent $16,000 out of pocket to keep the doors open, and we had decided, hey.
Well, he sold his Harley one of the times.
What had happened was is we had decided that, hey, we can't do it no more. We're gonna close the doors. We hadn't told the kids yet. Yes. And so we come to the gym, and we were going to tell the kids, and one of the kids came in and said, hey, I wrote an essay about the gym, and gives us the essay. Read the essay, and I was like, oh man.
And she got an award for it.
Yeah, she got an award. So I can't close the gym. So I went and sold my Harley so I'd keep the doors open. And then there was another time, and it's, we've met some really, really great kids have come through the gym.
Yes.
We've stayed in touch with a lot of them.
Some of them are grown with babies and stuff.
Now,
the one that wrote the essay, she has a, she's got a little family. Yeah. She was a boxer. She was pretty good. And because of that, because he's the one that's here on a constant, I would come because at that time my schedule changed, swings, grace, whatever. But he was here every day, and you see these kids come through. So I told him, I laminated that essays actually by the front door to remind us, like, okay, this is what we're doing. Just a constant reminder. But there's been a couple of times, like I said, I'm more the money person. I was like, I don't know if we could do it. But he's just like, no, we got to keep going. And now we got Chino in here, Palafox, and it's a good team. He's a good coach. So, but a lot we're not unique though, because a lot of these boxing gyms, that's
same thing.
So a lot of these coaches volunteered their time.
This isn't a business. Like, this costs us money to keep open. We don't make any money on this, and there's very, very few coaches that make money doing this. They do this for the love of the sport, and for I thought I had a shitty childhood when I was a kid until I came here, and you start talking to these.
Sorry. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, you're fine. It's okay.
But you talk to some of these kids, and my childhood was walking the park. We've had some kids come through the door. It's like, holy crap! Like, stuff that these guys shouldn't have to go through to to make it through life. And so you become like a second family to a lot of people.
And they confide stuff in you that you would never thought they would tell you or even tell their parents. But they see you as a second parent, or just somebody that, okay, that person believes in me. Like Isaiah, I can say that about Isaiah, because he tells Jason, I went through however many gyms when I first came here, and he was the only one that asked him, okay, what are your goals? What do you want to do? And now look where he's at. So you I don't know. Like I said, you never know who's going to come through that door and whether you make a difference or not. But the fact that there's that chance that you did. Like I said, when you're talking about sponsorship, that's what we tell them. It's like, we are keeping kids off the street. Because I'd rather have them in the gym being busy, working out, being safe, than being out in the street, tagging or getting in trouble, shoplifting or shooting, whatever. Because it's getting crazy out there right now. So.
Man, I want to say that is really beautiful, man. That's a great way to put it. Not to blow too much smoke or really put too much on it, but that's a really beautiful thing to say. Like, hey, we're not making money from this, and we're changing lives. Like that really is. It's really beautiful.
Like she said, we're not unique. It's all the coaches are like that. I mean, there's only a handful of coaches that get paid in Utah that I know.
Because it's their business too.
When you get to the pro level, it's a little different, because now
it's a business.
It's a business, but as far as on the amateur side, you don't get paid.
These guys, the coaches pay for travel, for food for these kids, hotels. I mean, it's an expense for them, and we saw it.
When our son was little, we were going to tournaments, and you're taking, and even kids from other gyms, you might be taking some of them because their coach can't go. And so you have a car full of kids, and I can remember at one point we had like 3 or 4. We had one kid, but we had like 4 hotel rooms, and got kids lined up in all these hotel rooms. So you're going to make sure that you got to make sure they're on weight, and you got to make sure that,
Yeah, people would tease us like, you guys got one kid, you got a minivan. It's like, no, I got like 30 kids. Because that van would be full going to Junior Golden Gloves.
Man, I love the discipline that it takes from these kids. You're saying there's a lot of kids, but you said you got to make weight and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was like, when I was 8 to 15, I didn't care about making weight, man. There's no discipline in that aspect of life. So there's like a beautiful part of that.
And that's what people don't realize. Like, these kids sacrifice even their childhood, birthday parties, their own birthday party, or, just hanging out with their friends, especially when they get like at the teen level. It's like, they want to be, they want to be a kid. They want to hang out with their friends, because since they were 8 years old, they've been at the gym, training, running constantly. Get home, do their homework, and then go to bed to do it all over again. So, people don't realize, like, most of these kids have sacrificed that childhood. And granted, some of them is just trying to keep them out of trouble. Even if they're just here working out, they don't have to compete, they don't have to fight, but just to keep them out of trouble.
That makes sense. When does the nickname or like the persona or whatever it's called come into play? Does they find that when they're younger?
Chino gives it to them like when they start coming to the gym. Chino will come up with a nickname for him. Sometimes it's a funny thing. Sometimes it's you have a kid born. That's some of them you have a kid that's just he's a beast, so he's a tank. Or you have a
Mac attack.
You just have so it just kind of depends. It just just from being at the gym. Usually it's within the peers or the coaching. They'll kind of see something, start giving them a nickname, and that kind of just sticks with them.
Yeah, I just heard one at Lalo's gym. Toxico. I thought that was fucking hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing when I heard it. It was like toxic. I call him. I was like, he's going to turn pro here soon, I think. But yeah, however they come up with their nickname. Yeah. Sometimes it's themselves, but sometimes it's the coach or their friends.
Yeah. Does that help with like the event itself? Is it cool to be able to attach that? Does that have like any value to it at all when someone has like
it means something to them for sure.
Right. That's okay. Yeah. That's a really good point.
Yeah, it means
that's a good
definitely
point.
something to them, you know. So it's like part of their persona, or you know, especially if they had it since they were a kid. So
yeah, absolutely.
Wow, man, this is really interesting. Okay, I kind of want to go into long term now, if that's okay with you guys. Is that all right? Going into expectations. We talked about how you have to schedule these venues out in advance and stuff like that. So, and then we kind of talked about just the sport of boxing in Utah and how that's going. But where do you guys see yourselves? Are you thinking you're going to go bigger and bigger fights? Do you want to keep it around this size? Where do you see things?
So we as far as like the goals that I've kind of personally set, I want to go to the Maverick Center. That's my goal. I want to do it. And I'll do it. We'll make it.
I love how you're like, we're gonna do it. I love how you add that.
We'll do it. I
gotta have the confidence.
Absolutely,
it's awesome.
absolutely.
I love it.
But there's kind of a magic number. So the 1,000 to 1,200 is kind of the magic number, where the event's not super expensive, and you can make a little bit of money. And that's we just crossed that threshold on this last one. So I think our first show we were 400 and something. Yes. Our second show we were 500 and something. Our third was 600 and something, and we hit 1,009 on our last one. And so we just crossed over that. I think we're going to be right around the 12 on this one.
Yeah, I hope so.
Pretty close. I don't think we're going to have tickets at the door on this one because I think we'll be sold before we get to that point.
Yeah, so make sure you get your tickets. Yeah, they're going fast. Yeah. So the tables, those are probably gone. Yeah. And it's crazy because people would, come through the door and ask for a table. It's like, no, I'm sorry, they're sold out.
Gone like the week we start selling.
Yeah, make sure you get tickets.
So, anyways, I think we'll do 3 shows a year at like the smaller venue, like we do at Golden Spike. Yeah. And then I'll do one big one a year at the. I'm gonna probably shoot for that in 2027. So, man, that's kind of my goal. So
that's next year.
Yeah.
Isn't that exciting?
That'll be awesome.
Exciting, right?
Is it?
We went to Bare Knuckle there, and
it was
we were sitting in there, and we've gone to plenty of hockey, and we've done some concerts there. There's not a bad seat there. No. Wow. Every seat in there is a great seat. Good venue. It's a really good setup. Yeah. I mean, we'll probably only do half of it, but it's such a great venue, and to me it's like we were sitting like. What, 8th, 9th row?
Yeah, we didn't have a bad seat.
Yeah, we didn't have, and it was. You're so close, you can see it. It's it just
that's fantastic.
Yeah, as a spectator, you have a good experience. You have that. So in the boxing event,
I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever been to any of the shows in Vegas, like at the MGM or the Mandalay Bay or T-Mobile. Mandalay Bay is a little bit spread out. The MGM, they're tight. Like it's good seating. Yeah. T-Mobile's good seating. And it gives a good atmosphere because your seats are good, so it's good atmosphere. You're not all the way, like at the Delta Center up in
it's a different experience. Like when you're watching on TV, you hear the commentators, you hear all this stuff. But when you're there, you don't hear any of that. But it's just the experience of seeing even some of the undercards that don't get televised. Who was it that you saw? It was the Alvarado.
Oh, yeah. That was the first time we saw Terrence Crawford.
He was just barely coming up. And Jason looked at him, watched the fight. Was not televised. It was just one of the undercards. And he's like, that dude's going to be famous. He's like, that kid's going to make it.
Really?
That's Terrence Crawford.
Wow, so you can spot it like that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just, you
that's
could
why
just
Sammy,
see it. Well, Sammy, I told Sammy, when Sammy
like
walked out of the ring, when Sammy came down the stairs out of the ring, I gave him a hug, and I was like, a star was born tonight. I know he's going to be big. Yeah. He's got, you captured it, and I don't even know if you realize you captured it. You got a picture of him walking to the ring, and he's kind of like, dabbing up everybody. he's got the personality, he's got the talent, he's got he's the full package. He's gonna,
you hope,
he's gonna be that. If he stays with it and he stays focused, he's gonna get it.
He's got a coach that's pushing him, that's taking him that path.
Wow.
So that kid's gonna be on the big screen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we had been chatting with him. He's like, I'm gonna win a belt.
Yeah,
100%. 100%.
It's not a doubt.
100%. He will.
He's focused.
I love that.
And his coach Jason Tafoya, he has trained him from the beginning to do that. Like I never trained any of my fighters like that. Like coming up, I never told them to start thinking about their pro career. I never did that. We're just like, hey, it's one fight at a time kind of thing. He's trained them from the beginning. This is you're building towards this. You're building your crowd. You're building, and you have to anymore. The whole sport has changed. The Jake Paul stuff. Yeah. It's changed the sport. Yeah. It's not just you're a great fighter anymore. It's how many people you got following you.
Yes.
They started putting that up. It used to be back in the day, they'd be like, oh, this guy has this many amateur fights. That doesn't even matter anymore. It's like, oh, this guy has this many followers. Like,
that's a great point.
What does that matter? But it does. It does,
Yeah.
Which to us, we don't care because we came back, up when it was the competitive side of it. Now it's social media. It's what you see on the screen, some people are going to hate me for this, but you call them Facebook fighters, because they're there, showing off. But then you go in the ring, it's like, okay, are they actually training? But they do got a lot of followers.
That's really interesting.
So, but, with Sammy, it's like, no, that kid's been fighting, even though he might have started at 14, but that's all he's been doing.
Yeah.
Somebody like Santana or Diego or, if they would have kept going, the pro side people would have known who they were because they
it's a hard way to make a living. I tell every fighter, this is a hard way to make a living. When you think $800 is what you get paid, for their pro fight, and you think about how many hours of training was put in just to camp, not even everything else, just camp, 6-8 week camp that you put in, and you're in the gym 3-4 hours a day, 6-7 days a week to make $800. You know what I mean? That is a rough way to make a living. And they're all doing it in hopes that they can make that big number, that they go up on the big level.
Be world champs.
To be world champ and to make it. And Sammy told me at the beginning, he's like, it's not about the money. He's like, like you said, he wants the belt. He wants to do that.
Yeah.
And I love that. I absolutely love that because I feel like, I was telling Isaiah, I was like, a lot of these guys, they came up in really, really rough areas, and the gym was the only thing that kept them out of trouble. And then they start making money, and they lose focus on that, what got them to that point. Because now they're sleeping on silk sheets and they drive a Bentley, and it's not, they don't have that same.
Look what's going on with Mayweather. The money team.
Yeah, and it's just you got to keep that focus, and you have to keep that hunger. And I was telling Isaiah before this last fight, I was like, you need to go back to that anger that you had. And he's like, I don't like that anger. And he's like, but that anger is what gets you, you going. It's got to be controlled, but you got to have that hunger, you got to have that anger to go forward.
Yeah, back in the day when earlier with the kids in the gym, we would make them watch. It's a good documentary. You guys should check it out. Like, actually, it's called Born and Bred. And it's just a documentary of these guys following a group of amateur kids throughout the state and through a competitive level. They have a couple of twins. I can't remember the twins' names. And we ended up seeing those kids, in on the pros. And one went to Mexico, the other one
that was in the amateur to make the U.S. team.
To make the U.S. team, but Born and Bred. And Chino was just talking about that documentary. And it was
great documentary.
Yeah, it was awesome. I think we still have it.
Yeah.
It was back when CDs were a thing.
DVDs. Wow.
DVDs.
No, you're taking me back.
Yeah, way back. But it's a good doc. Right. I think it will still stay true now, though.
Okay.
It was very, very well made.
Yeah. We love documentaries. I'll watch that.
Yeah, Born and Bred. It's pretty good.
I would say for us on our side of things, the best thing a fighter could do is be really good talking in front of the camera.
Absolutely.
Right? I think that's like huge. But is there certain things, maybe would your answer be the hunger? They need to remember that hunger. Is there certain things on your side that you think, I need a fighter to really exercise this. Like we always say, talk in front of the camera is the thing we need to exercise. Is there something for you on your side?
Well, I mean, when you get to the pro level, it's a full package. Like you said, they need to be able to market themselves.
Yeah.
They need to be able to talk in front of the camera. They need to have the hunger in the gym. They need to keep the focus. They need to, and it's hard. There's a lot involved, just how much time preparation is, but at the same time, you still need to build your fan base, and you still need to, we're on the lowest level. Like we are the lowest level of pro boxing. Well, I mean,
you're doing great here, though.
No,
I was gonna say because
Like,
we saw something on Friday and from
but I mean, as far as entry level at boxing, and then
Yes.
you go to Vegas, it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game. That it's and we've been to Isaiah's fought on some, I'd say, good mid-sized cards. That guys that are starting to have good names and that are starting to get big, and they all want to fight on that big Vegas or the Staples Center in LA
Madison
or
Square
Madison
Garden.
Square Garden. That's where they all want to go. That's the Mecca. That's the Super Bowl. That's the that's where they want to be. But that you have those steps. We're the first step. That we're the first. We're only going to get them so far. We're not going to have world championship boxers fighting out of Utah. It's not going to happen
unless they come back and they want to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not going to happen. There's going to be some world champion boxers out of Utah. I see that for Sammy. There's one down in Payson, Aaron Garcia. He's gonna. I can tell you right now, those guys will be on the big
next level.
The next level.
Wow.
But it's probably won't happen here.
Right.
You know what I mean? They'll build, but they're gonna have to move on.
But that is the goal for us, though.
Yeah.
To be able to say, okay, they started with us, and then God, look at them now on TV. I'm Madison Square Garden. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That's
To be able to
beautiful.
say that.
That's so nice, man.
No, I had a coach tell me really, really early when I started coaching. He's like, a win for me is when I've taught a fighter everything I can teach him, and it's time for him to move on to a bigger and better coach. He's like, that's a win for me. I've done all I can do. I can only take him so far. And it's the truth. There's only so far. I'm not the greatest coach in Utah. I'm not the second greatest, third, fourth. There's far better coaches than me. But, when you get to that point to where, like, hey, you're going to have to go on to someone better, I'm taking you as far as I can take you, because it is. There's only so much.
You taught them the fundamentals, the basics. And when it really comes down to it, you can do all the fancy stuff, the fancy footwork, all of that. But when you look at boxing, it's just the basics, the fundamentals, that straight, jab, whatever, like down the middle, the footwork. And it's like the boring stuff that people don't realize these kids train that absolutely hate, the running, but it's going back to the basics. And it's the muscle memory that, keeps them alive in that ring. When they black out or something, they get a good punch.
Yeah.
It's muscle memory that keeps them in there training.
Man, I love it. All right, I'm going into it. Talk to me about this upcoming event. Let's start to land this plane here.
Okay.
How many fights? How many rounds? What can people expect? Take me through it.
Right now, I believe we have 7 confirmed done. I'm still working 2. So I'm anticipating like 34 rounds. I think our last fight was 38 rounds. I think we're at 34 right now. I have one 6-rounder. Isaiah's going to do a 6-rounder. I feel like on paper this is my best card.
Really?
That I've
It
matched.
should be a good show.
So my last card was really good. The card before that was really good. But I feel like this is going to be the best one. I think we have some really good matchups. I think we have some fights that are going to be fun to watch, that are going to be fan friendly.
Yeah.
So, and that's what my goal is when I'm matching. That's kind of what I want.
you just want it to be better than the last show.
Yeah.
And we do. We get people telling us like, "Oh, that was a great show. That was a great card. Can't wait for the next one." Because like you said earlier, it's like you want to keep them coming. What else does this kid got to offer, or this fighter?
I feel like our very first card. I didn't matchmake our first card, but our very first card was a great show. I think it was a really fun.
People
fight.
were excited about it, because we hadn't had that in Utah in a long time.
Yeah.
Even though we did have some promotion happening, but not at that level, so people were like, oh, crap, heck yeah. So when we started, coming up, people didn't realize, and yeah, I remember even telling the commissions, like, no, you don't understand. Like, we have good support from the boxing community because these kids want to turn pro, but we have to build the Old Heart name, you know, from even the amateur side. So we know a lot of these amateur coaches and fighters are pro coaches and fighters. So we do have a good, you know, support system when it comes to the boxing community. So this show should be, like he said, better than the last.
Absolutely. Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm pretty excited. I think I think this will be our best card. I think it will. I think the last card was our best card up until this point, but I think this one's going to be.
Do you think we're going to have some upsets?
There's a possibility.
There's
a possibility.
Okay.
We got some really good matchups. We got some. We're rematching Bobby and Junior Hernandez, which when they fought the first time, it was a fantastic fight. It could have gone either way. You know, I think honestly, it really could have gone either way. Yeah. And you know, I think this time
if they're both hungry, it should make for a good show.
Absolutely. I think this time it's going to even be better because, you know, Junior lost the first one. I don't think he lost for any reason other than, you know, the judges were just on Bobby's side that day. Yeah. And, you know, so, but it was a really, really good
Bobby's been fighting, you know, and he's been improving each time he's fought. So it should be good.
He was a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
He was a fun one. Okay. When, where?
So, Golden Spike Exhibit Hall, June 13th.
Yep,
Doors
Saturday.
open at 6.
Fantastic.
Fights start at 7.
Where can people get tickets?
Contact the fighters. They all have tickets. I have tickets.
Okay. We'll put it in the link in the bio.
I prefer that you contact the fighters because they get a little bit of money off of it. So I prefer you go that way. I'm more than happy to give you tickets if not. But if you got a favorite fighter, definitely reach out to that fighter because they get paid. And that helps us keep track of, you know, who sells tickets and
of course
stuff like that.
Yeah, or you can just go because we don't have like a website, but you can just go on our social media. There's Jason's number. Yeah, we can meet up. Whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
And like he said, you know, this might be a sold out show, so you definitely want to get
them now.
Don't wait. Don't wait.
Get them now. And if you're not going to make it, pay-per-view, watch the pay-per-view as well.
Absolutely. I'm excited because we're kind of changing up our pay-per-view this time.
Yeah, you guys are on board this time, so yeah.
Super excited.
I'm excited about this.
I've actually loved the videos you guys have done, little commercials and stuff. Yeah. That little edit that you did from the last show. That was good. We got a lot of compliments on that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're going to kick it up a little bit. Try some new things, and so I'm excited about that. Every fight we try to improve a little bit. So we're trying to. It's clear.
It's clear as someone who's watched them, who's gone back and seen your old one. You've clearly built it up each time, and I think this will be an amazing fight. I really do. Yeah, I'm very excited for it.
That's why he's dreaming is the Maverick.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Absolutely,
it's gonna be awesome.
I'm tapped. That's everything I have. What do you have? Anything?
That's it.
That's it, man.
Ready.
Thank you, guys.
Well, hey, thank you guys for your time. Thank you for letting us do this.
Absolutely.
Thank you for, you know, it's a little uncomfortable getting in front of the camera and the mic sometimes, so thank you for doing it. Absolutely. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you really wanted to say before?
No, we appreciate all the fans. We appreciate everybody that comes out and supports.
Support.
We have a very, very, very good support system here in Utah. Our team, Lawrence, Haley, Quincy, Santana, and Susli. I feel like we have the best team. Like,
we couldn't do this without
really,
them.
really. They absolutely hit it out of the park, and
we all have our little roles that we do.
Everybody knows their role. Everybody does their role, and you know, they do it without pay because we didn't make any money yet. So.
But they see the end goal.
Yeah, you know, we all have the same goal, and we're all
this last one was a good, you know, they did get a little
but there's so much work that everybody puts into it, and we really do appreciate it. I mean, you guys know, you guys have done a lot of work too. So
we couldn't do it obviously without the fighters, without the fans. So huge thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Love it. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Click another episode. Keep listening. Appreciate it, guys.